Good morning, folks. Wanted to share a project I worked on for a teacher this weekend. This was a project in which the teacher wanted to be able to take sentences and break them into words so they could maybe print the words off and cut them up or something like that. So here, if I change this, I want to make words out of sentences. And then these formulas that I have in here, which you can copy across and down, let you do just that. So let's see how we made this work. I'm going to go ahead and make a new sheet, and let's just type a sentence. I want to split the words of this sentence. Okay, so in A1 I have a set of words. The first thing that we're going to do is split. So let's do an equal split. Let's do an equal split, and let's split A1. In A1 we will split on the space. So quote, space, quote, and that. And there we go, that's the start of it, but that doesn't get these words into a grid. It just splits the word of the sentence into another line. So the next step of this would be to take this formula that I have here, and let's see what happens if we can index the words that are created here. So let's index, here's our split. So that's our reference. We're going to index that. And then what we want is, I want to see the first word in here. So I think if I just put a 1 in here, let's see what we get. And sure enough, there's my I. So I could build something like this, and I could, first of all, let's go ahead and lock this reference, because we're always going to be looking at cell A1. So let's lock the reference. And then if I drag this across, well, okay, that would, I could come in here and manually change that to a 2. And then I could come in here, I could basically copy this down like this, and I could do a 3 and so forth. And as you can see, I'm getting word 1, word 2, word 3. But what I really want to do is not have to make a change to this. I want to build a formula that I can copy down. So we'll use the row and column feature to get this calculation that we need here, where we're wanting to have this automatically calculated. So let's see what I can do here. Let's type this. So let's do equal, and let's start with a parentheses, equal row, and let's start with row B1, because let's say that we're going to want to put this in column B, and yeah, let's start with thinking we'll put this in column B, and we'll show how that will happen. So we're going to do row B1, and that should give us a 1, and then we want to minus row, we'll minus row, and this time we want to lock the cell reference, because we always want to take B1 and minus it. So we'll go ahead and do that. That gives us 0. And then this depends, then we're going to take that and multiply it times the number of columns you want this to be dragged over and down across. So let's say we want to do 4 columns with this and make a 4-column grid. So we're going to take that, and then we're going to, let's see, we're going to want to finish out that, and then we will want to add column, and in this case it's going to be the column of B 1 again. And let's see what that does for it. Yeah, I had to move the parentheses, so now we're getting what we expect. So we had said we wanted this to calculate these numerics. As we saw here in the index, I could manually do index 1, index 2, index 3. But what I wanted to do here was take index 1. I want to calculate those numbers. So I'm going to do 4 columns. So I would drag this across 4 columns. And that does work for me. I get 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what happens when I drag it down? Yep, that's what we're looking for. The row column formula we've created will give us the numeric values we need for our index. So that would mean I could take this formula right here. Let me go ahead and copy that. And instead of using index split, instead of using the 1 here, let's put the calculation in there and hit an enter. Oops, we got an error. Let's see what we got wrong with that. Let's check. Yeah, we would not want that other equal sign, and there we go. So yep, there we go. We get our I, and then we had set this up to be 4, the formula I'm using, so I should be able to come across I want to split. Yep, so that's actually working for me. Let me undo that. Here's my manual formula, but here's where I can drag this across. Let's give myself a little more space here. Let's insert a column to the left. And now I should be able to drag this across 4. I want to split, and I should be able to drag down. I want to split the words of this sentence. Okay, but then I get a reference error. So then what I would have to do is wrap this whole thing if error, and then we will go ahead, do a comma, and that should not change that first one, but now if I drag this across and drag this down, I'll get rid of my errors, and then I want to split the words of this sentence into separate cells so I can see the words. Okay, and you can see as far as I've spread that out. So the main thing here is that you would change is this number here, and that's going to depend on the number of columns that you want to build your grid with. So that's how you can go ahead and build something that looks like this. And in here I'm just adding a couple other things. I've got this formula that we're using to calculate the numerics, and I'm just doing a sum here because I wanted to make sure that I could see how many words are in my sentences. So I hope this is helpful. Let's take one look last at this and see why this works. So row B1 is equal to 1 minus row B1 is equal to 0 times 4 is equal to 0 plus the column of B1, and column is 2, minus 1 gives me my 1. So when I drag this formula across, I get row C1. Well, that's 1 minus B1 is still 0. Column C is going to be 2 minus 1 gives us our 2, and so forth. And then when you get down here, you have row 2, so you have 2 minus 1 equals 1 times 4 is 4 plus the column of B2, which is 2. 4 plus 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5, and so forth. And you can see how that formula works to then take and build this with our index, split, do the count with the rows and columns.